I think we have to have a talk about your spending practices. You find a lot of... Oh, I know. How much have you spent on property the last 2 years, right? Chris Dumit just walked away from Gold Rush, and it's not just a simple goodbye. Something wild went down in Season 15. Fans have watched him handle every disaster, fix every broken machine, and keep Parker Schnabel's operation running like a well-oiled machine. What could push the most reliable man in the gold mining game to finally call it quits? But this season, the pressure became too much, and Chris hit his breaking point. The goal hunt that nearly broke them. From the start, Parker was gunning for something insane. 10,000 ounces of gold. A number so high it felt impossible. But Parker doesn't do small goals. To make it happen, he cranked up the pressure, running Big Red, Roxanne, and Bob's plant all at the same time. On paper, it sounded like genius. More plants mean more gold, right? Well, not exactly, because behind the scenes, the crew was getting pushed past their breaking point, and no one felt it more than Chris Dumit. Before we dive into this, one thing is certain. What happened behind the scenes was far more intense than anyone realized. And this won't be the only thing that will leave you stunned. He has always been the guy in the background, making sure the gold keeps flowing. But this season, the work went from hard to nearly impossible. Cleaning out the sluice boxes, making sure not a single speck of gold gets lost, and doing it for 3 wash plants non-stop. That's not just hard, it's back-breaking. The man isn't getting any younger, and this kind of non-stop grind was taking its toll. I hate it when we're having to, do things that we don't want to do in a way that we don't want to do them. Because, we're in a rush to get ounces out of the ground. I hate that. He gave it his all. But at some point, even the toughest guys have to admit when enough is enough. If you've followed Gold Rush for a while, you know he isn't the type to complain. But this season, he didn't have a choice. It was either speak up or break down, and no amount of experience could change the fact that he was drowning in work. Something had to change. The crew was stretched thin, and Parker wasn't about to pull anyone off a machine to help in the gold room. That left him stuck between a rock and a hard place. Enter Tatiana Costa, one of the top operators on the team, but not exactly someone you'd expect to see handling the gold. He threw out her name as a possible backup, and Parker had to make a tough call. Mitch and Tyson weren't going to be thrilled about losing her, but it was either that or watch him walk away for good. In the end, Parker agreed. Tatiana was getting trained up, and at last there was some extra help. But was it too little? Too late? Even with extra hands in the gold room, the pressure wasn't going away. Parker's hunger for gold wasn't slowing down, and as the season pushed forward, the cracks were starting to show. 70. Yeah, 289 so 5. There we go. Yeah. Who? Chest bump. No. Ha 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 ha. Oh. Ha ha ha. This veteran miner had been with Parker's crew since Season 4, and over the years he'd become one of the most valuable team members. But every man has his limits, and this season was testing his in ways no one expected. His path to Gold Rush wasn't exactly planned. He started as a carpenter, building cabins for Todd Hoffman's crew. But one thing led to another, and before he knew it, he was knee-deep in gold mining. Turns out he was good at it. Really good. When he switched over to Parker's team, everything changed. His skills in the gold room helped Parker hit record-breaking gold totals year after year. But even the best can only take so much. And now, with the workload pushing him past his limit, the question isn't whether he can keep up. It's whether he even wants to. For fans, the idea of Gold Rush without this hard-working veteran is hard to picture. He's been there through the ups and downs, keeping things running even when chaos took over. But this season feels different. The pressure, the exhaustion, the sheer amount of work, it's all piling up. And for the first time, it looks like he might be done for good. Gold mining is a tough business. It takes grit, patience, and a whole lot of endurance. But at some point you have to ask, is it worth it? Chris has spent years making sure the operation runs smoothly, But if the cost is his health and well-being, is it time to walk away? As the season rolls on, that's the question hanging over everything. And if he does leave, what does that mean for the rest of the crew? Chris had been through tough seasons before, but this one was pushing him harder than ever. The gold room was falling apart. A wild goal has been set. Dig up 10,000 ounces of gold. It's a massive challenge, and the pressure is hitting everyone hard. Chris, a veteran of this back-breaking grind, might finally have had enough. If he walks away, the team will lose a key player, someone who keeps the whole operation from falling apart. But then again, gold has a way of pulling people back, and Chris isn't one to back down easily. Chris has been part of the crew for over a decade, and his impact goes way beyond just digging up dirt. He's the guy making sure every speck of gold is accounted for, the one who smooths things over when demands push the team to the edge. He wasn't even a miner when he started, just a carpenter who got pulled into this world by chance. But once he was in, he adapted fast, proving himself as one of the hardest workers out there. Now he's one of the few constants in this chaotic gold-chasing empire. One of Chris's most important jobs is in the gold room, where raw dirt turns into pure profit. It's not a simple task. One mistake, and real money disappears. Chris has mastered the process, making sure nothing is wasted. His work ensures that their gold recovery numbers wouldn't be nearly as high without him. The stakes are massive, and having the right guy in charge of cleanups is non-negotiable. In a game where every ounce matters, Chris is the one making sure the team gets the most out of every run. But Chris isn't just about numbers and gold pans. He's the glue holding the crew together. Hey Mitch, how's it going, man? Not too bad. Good to see you, buddy. You too. Hey Keeper, how you doing, man? Not much, you? Cleaning gold? Yeah? Non-stop. Mining is exhausting. Long hours, brutal weather, and constant equipment failures make every day a battle. Tensions rise, tempers flare, and high expectations don't make it easier. Chris, with his laid-back attitude and sharp sense of humor, keeps things from boiling over. He's the guy everyone turns to when the pressure gets too much. The one who helps keep the team from completely falling apart. He's relied on for more than just morale. He's a key decision-maker, someone trusted to weigh in when things get tough. Whether it's figuring out the best way to process gold, fixing busted equipment, or managing crew drama, Chris is the voice of reason. Over the years, he's proven that he's not just another worker. He's an essential part of why this operation stays afloat. The real test came when an extreme challenge was pushed forward. Running 3 wash plants at once was a ridiculous goal, aiming for an almost impossible 10,000 ounces in one season. It was chaos, and Chris took the hardest hit. He was the one responsible for making sure all the sluice boxes were cleared, all the gold was properly cleaned, and nothing got lost in the madness. It pushed him past his limit, and for the first time, quitting became a real option. You starting to see the 10,000-ounce goal kind of dwindling away? We probably could do 10, but then our costs would go up by, 50%. Extra hands had to be brought in just to keep things from falling apart. It was clear, without Chris, this goal was a pipe dream. Chris's legacy on Gold Rush is impossible to ignore. He went from being an outsider with 0 mining experience to one of the most trusted names in the business. His work ethic, dedication, and ability to keep the crew together have made him a fan favorite. If one man is the face of the operation, Chris is the backbone, the one making sure everything actually works. Without him, things would look very different, and everyone knows it. But the big question still looms. Is Chris finally ready to call it quits? After years of non-stop work, insane pressure, and the never-ending drive to break records, even the toughest guys have their limits. If he walks, the team will be left scrambling to fill the gap. If he stays, he's in for another season of exhaustion and stress. Either way, things are about to change. Is Gold Rush about to lose one of its biggest legends? Or will Chris stick around for one last shot at striking it big? One thing's for sure, gold mining has never been this intense. Parker never took the easy road, but his story didn't start with success. It began with a kid who refused to give up, no matter what anyone said. The teen who took over gold mining. Parker Schnabel didn't just stumble into gold mining, he was practically born into it. Born in late July in the mid-90s, in the small town of Haines, Alaska, he grew up surrounded by dirt, heavy machinery, and the never-ending hunt for gold. His grandfather, John Schnabel, ran the Big Nugget mine, and while other kids were playing with toy trucks, he was watching the real thing in action. By the time he was barely old enough to tie his own shoes, he was already learning how to operate equipment that most adults would struggle with. Fast forward a few years, and he was juggling school and mining like it was nothing. High school saw him shooting hoops on the basketball team, but let's be real. His heart was always with the mine. College? Sure, it was an option. He even thought about studying geology or mining, but in the end, books and classrooms didn't stand a chance. Instead of wasting years in lectures, he put his savings where his ambition was, into his own mining operation. That decision? Life-changing. By the time he was just 16, he took over running the Big Nugget mine. Imagine that, a teenager telling grown men twice his age how to do their jobs. But he wasn't just bossing people around. He knew what he was doing. Mining isn't just digging holes and hoping for gold. It's a grind, a calculated risk, a battle against nature itself. He proved he had the guts, the brains, and the work ethic to pull it off. Then came the big break, reality TV. In the early 2010s, Discovery Channel rolled out Gold Rush, a show about families willing to risk it all for a shot at striking it rich. He and his family were right in the mix, and soon enough, viewers were hooked on watching this teenage miner defy expectations. Yeah, Jordan's starting to catch up. He's going a little bit faster now, because right as I leave, he'll be right behind me with a full box. But just being part of the show wasn't enough. He had bigger plans. In his late teens, he made a move that left jaws on the floor. He walked away from his family mine, set his sights on the Yukon, and went all in on his own operation. It was a wild gamble, but playing it safe was never his style. He leased land, bought equipment, and got to work. And guess what? It paid off. In his first season running solo, he pulled over 1,000 ounces of gold from the ground. That's not luck. That's pure determination. With each season, his operation only got bigger and bolder. His numbers grew, and he proved that he wasn't just some kid writing his grandfather's legacy. He was the real deal. His story wasn't just about mining. It was about proving that age doesn't matter when you have the skills and the drive to succeed. He didn't just survive in the gold game, he dominated it. The show didn't stop with Gold Rush. His success spun off into Gold Rush Parker's Trail, where he took mining to the next level. No longer just digging in one place, he traveled the world, following historic gold mining routes and pushing himself into uncharted territory. From Canada's brutal Klondike Trail to the dense jungles of Papua New Guinea, he showed that he wasn't afraid of challenges. He chased them. But life wasn't all gold and glory. He faced his share of struggles, especially when it came to his personal life. He had a relationship with an Australian veterinary nurse, Ashley Yulee, who even appeared on the show for a while. But between the relentless grind of mining and the pressures of fame, the relationship didn't last. He admitted he wasn't exactly the best at balancing work and relationships. So if we run a yard, we need to get 155 milligrams. 40 buckets? 40 buckets. Mining always came first. And that's the thing about him. He's not just some TV personality trying to cash in on his 15 minutes of fame. The guy eats, sleeps, and breathes gold mining. Even as he hits his 30s, he's still as relentless as ever, chasing bigger paydays and pushing the limits of what's possible in the industry. Fame hasn't softened him. If anything, it's only made him more determined. But here's the real question. How long can he keep this up? Mining isn't just back-breaking work. It's unpredictable, risky, and full of setbacks. He has made millions, but he's also faced massive losses. Will he eventually trade the mining life for something a little more stable? Will he ever step away from the cameras and just focus on the gold? Or is he too deep into this world to ever walk away? For now, his name is still one of the biggest in modern gold mining. Whether it's striking it rich or struggling through brutal seasons, one thing's for sure. He's not done yet. But what happens when the gold stops flowing? That's the real story waiting to be told. Gold mining is tough, and one bad choice can ruin everything. But those who learn to change and keep going always find a way to win. The numbers that changed Gold Rush. Gold mining isn't just about digging up some shiny rocks and getting rich overnight. Gold Rush has proven that time and time again. While the show makes it seem like an adventure, the reality is far more brutal. Miners risk everything: money, time, and sanity for a shot at a few nuggets. Some strike it big, others crash and burn, and a few just barely hang on by the skin of their teeth. Take Season 3, for example. Todd Hoffman's crew finally had a decent year after struggling before, pulling out over 800 ounces of gold, which put more than $1 million in their pockets. Not bad, right? But Parker Schnabel, the young hotshot, was already proving he was the one to watch. While Hoffman was celebrating, one miner was grinding, mining nearly 200 ounces. Meanwhile, Dakota Fred Hurt pulled out over 160 ounces, but it was clear he wasn't keeping up with the younger competition. Then came Season 4, and there was no messing around. Leasing land at Scribner Creek, the work began, leading to over 800 ounces in one season. If that wasn't enough, he and Rick Ness went all in and pushed their total to over 1,000 ounces, shattering Hoffman's records and making him look like an amateur. At this point, it was clear there was a new leader in the gold rush, and Hoffman was just trying to keep up. Season 5 rolled around, and the numbers made everyone else look silly. More than 2,500 ounces of gold were pulled in, raking in close to $3 million. The Hoffmans, still struggling to stay relevant, managed to mine over 1,300 ounces, making over $1.5 million. Not terrible, but compared to the top miner, it was like watching a kid trying to outrun a race car. Things really heated up in Season 6. Tony Beats, the grizzled old-school miner, got in on the action with his family, hauling out over 700 ounces using a dredge that was older than some of the crew members. But there was no slowing down. Over 3,300 ounces were mined, worth nearly $3.5 million. The Hoffmans finally had a decent year, pulling in just over 3,000 ounces, but they still trailed far behind. There's no gold in it. We're wasting a lot of time. But it's just very different ground than we've been mining. By Season 7, the numbers were simply in another league. The team pulled in more than 4,300 ounces, worth over $5 million. Meanwhile, Tony Beats and his crew, working their dredge system, managed just over 2,000 ounces. The gap was growing, and one miner was setting the pace. Season 8 was yet another dominant year. The team mined over 6,200 ounces, worth a whopping $7.5 million. Tony Beats stayed consistent with over 3,600 ounces, bringing in over $4 million. The rain was undeniable, and it was clear who was outthinking and outworking everyone else. Then came Season 9, where a goal of 7,000 ounces at Scribner Creek was set. Not only was that goal reached, it was blown past with over 7,400 ounces mined, worth close to $9 million. Rick Ness, trying to prove himself after stepping out of the shadow, just barely scraped past 1,000 ounces. Meanwhile, Tony Beats fell short of his 6,000-ounce goal, mining just under 4,400 ounces. Another win for the leader. Another frustrating season for the rest. Season 10 showed just how smart the top miner had become. Even though the total fell 200 ounces short of the previous season, rising gold prices meant more money in the end. By the close of the season, over $10 million in gold had been mined. Meanwhile, Rick Ness struggled after relocating to Duncan Creek, barely breaking even. Tony Beats had to move his operation to Paradise Hill, but still managed over 2,200 ounces. The competition was still there, but one person was playing chess, while everyone else was playing checkers. Fast forward to season 14, and a goal of 5,000 ounces was set. Did that goal get met? Of course not. It was shattered. By the end, over 7,300 ounces were mined, worth nearly $15 million. Meanwhile, Tony Beats, despite aiming for 6,000 ounces, faced setbacks and ended up with just over 3,000 ounces. Rick Ness, after a year off, managed over 1,100 ounces, making over $2 million. The numbers didn't lie. One miner was simply in a league of his own. Yeah, it's been a challenge finding people that can get into the Klondike, right? Because it's just like quite a few borders to get through. And that's the thing about Gold Rush. It's not just about digging up dirt and hoping for gold. It's about strategy, determination, and knowing when to take risks. Some figured that out early, while guys like Hoffman struggled to adapt. Some seasons were brutal, with breakdowns, bad weather, and even worse luck. But the ones who knew what they were doing always found a way to come out on top. The success wasn't an accident. It came from constantly looking for new ways to mine more gold, paying less in royalties, and investing in the right equipment. The game changed by taking lessons from other mining operations, even traveling to places like Australia to learn different techniques. That's why winning kept happening season after season, because there was never a fear of change. Sure, Gold Rush makes gold mining look dramatic, but it also shows just how ruthless the industry can be. One bad season can ruin you. One wrong decision can set you back years, and one big find can change everything. Parker Schnabel figured out the winning formula, and as long as he keeps making smart moves, the gold will keep piling up. With every new season, viewers tune in, waiting to see if new records will be broken, if Tony Beats will finally catch up, or if someone new will rise to the top. The gold is still out there, but only the smartest and toughest will ever get their hands on it. Did Chris Dumit leave Gold Rush because of the intense pressure? Or is there a bigger story behind his shocking exit? Tell us what you think, and remember to like and subscribe for more.